So this question reminds me of the Rolling Stones song, "You can't always get what you want, but if you try sometime, you can get what you need." Now in the GDR, the argument was that capitalism confuses need with desire, and people sell you things you don't need. So instead, the GDR wanted to supply you with what you needed by making desire and money disappear. So the experience of the GDR, which is different than the theory, was more like, you can't always get what you need, but if you try sometime, you still won't want it. So let's talk about the theory and the practice. It's supposed to work along the lines of no profit motives, so you don't need any money in production, but you do need something in consumption. People need to live within their means. So let's suppose for a second that you're in one of the people's own companies and you've got to produce 1,000 jars of jam a month. You don't use money to buy all the things that you need. You have instead planning targets. And the people who are supposed to deliver the raw fruit, the raspberries, will simply deliver it to you and you'll simply make it. And it's calibrated at 1,000 jars a month because people sat down and thought about how much jam is actually eaten in East Germany. In contrast, if you're a consumer, you have a job, you get paid, you use money to purchase the jar. But since everyone has the right to work and the differences in wealth and income aren't large at all, and prices are low, it doesn't really matter if you pay by money. The question is whether or not the consumer good, the jam, is there. So for the consumer, money does mean something, but because the system is designed to provide essential items and more for everyone, food and rent and things like that are very cheap, money's not that meaningful. That's the idea. The way it actually worked was something like this. Go back to the raspberry jam company. The delivery of raspberries, maybe it's late. Maybe you don't have any refrigeration, and so you pack them away, but they turn rotten. Or maybe they're delivered partially rotten to begin with. Now, there's no way to complain, and you can't find those companies because money doesn't exist, but you still have to make 1,000 jars of jam. So you heat up the raspberries you do have to make the jam. Maybe one of your machines breaks down, it's old, you've been asking to buy a new one, but again, it's a question of buying the machine, you don't have money, the planning targets aren't there, so you just make do, and maybe you even add some more sugar to cover up the moldy taste of the raspberries. And you're all set, you're ready to fill the jars with jam, but then you discover maybe you don't have enough jars because the company that makes the jars either didn't deliver enough or they delivered them broken or malformed. So you fill the ones that you can with the jam that you do have, and you produce 700 jars of too sweet and slightly moldy tasting raspberry jam. So now there's a shortage of jam in the GDR, but the problem is your mom really likes it. So how do you get your hands on it? Well, you can't get it with East German money because the price is the price, but there isn't any jam. But maybe you have a friend who works in one of the retail stores that sell the jam, and you can convince them to put a jar aside. And this is what East Germans called, in German, Vitamin B for Beziehung. We would say vitamin C for connections. Now that makes the shortages worse because in that store, there's even less jar that they're putting out. Well, maybe actually, if you don't have the friend, you can have something to trade for, other shortage goods, for example, stockings. So what happens is that a lot of the East German economy is based on barter. There's still no money, but there are shortage goods that are moving from one person to the other. Or finally, maybe you have family in the West, and they can get you West German goods like jeans or coffee that everyone wants. And by the 1980s, there's even West German money that's circulating. And now we've come full circle. By 1989, what everyone in the GDR learned was that West German goods were better and more desirable, and that West German money could get you what you wanted, not just what you needed. So this is why it made sense to want to become part of West Germany with its plentiful and high quality consumer goods and all the money you needed to get them.